Well, Godfather, I got my hair cut today, and much to my surprise, this nice little spot in downtown Portland was playing yacht rock, which I might add is a great way to spend your time getting your hair cut.
Yeah.
So I heard this song and then a song from Donald Fagen. And so I was trying to decide which song do I want to hear in the open today. I went with Michael McDonald. So that's why we're jamming him right now.
Yeah, but I think you'll make up for it with some Donald Fagen later, right?
I can definitely do that.
Good. The haircut looks good, by the way.
Thank you.
You got a good one.
I
That's
will
kind of
add,
that's a New York haircut, huh?
it is the most expensive haircut I've ever paid for in my life today.
Really?
Yeah, let me explain what happened. It's been a very eventful day for me. What I should have done, I made errors on many levels today.
Yeah.
I'm leaving tonight for New York, so the flight will take off around 10 p.m. or whatever time it takes off. But I'll be at the airport tonight, heading out, taking the red eye to New York City. And I'm one of those guys where it's like I like to work and I like to do things and get things done. So I'm like, I'll just jam a bunch of different things into one day and get everything done before I take off on vacation. So I scheduled my day out. I got up in the morning. I had a car appointment at Vancouver Toyota to get my car serviced. And then after that, I was going to go and work out with Luke. And then after that, I was going to have a haircut. And then I was going to come into the station. And you and I, we had our reschedule with Gretchen. So we got that done and everything. But I bit off more than I could chew. So the whole day, it's been productive and been fine. And the weather is spectacular, I might add. But I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off. Too many things all at once. So let me explain what happened with the haircut. So I am fortunate because I go to this place in downtown. I have my normal stylist. Her name is Sienna. She's wonderful. But sometimes her schedule doesn't match up with mine.
Yeah.
And she recommended another stylist, Rosemary. And I actually have one place where I can utilize two people that I both trust and they know how to do my hair. It's amazing. So how often can you do that? Well, when I went in today, it was the replacement, and I went to pay, and I was like, how much is that? I didn't say that, but in my mind, I'm like, oh, my gosh. So let me just add that between that and then the tip that I added on top, today was the most I've ever paid to have my hair done in the history of my life.
You wouldn't want to share with us the number?
No, I don't want to share
was
the
it
number.
Over $50.
Easily. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's nowhere near where it came out to be. So I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
Now, of course, what am I going to do? Complain about it? No, because I'm going to go back there again.
Yeah.
But I found out that there must be different tiers based on who you're going to get service from.
Yeah.
So it's
By
one of
the
those
way,
moments.
I'm not going to say you got your money's worth because I don't know if any haircut is worth that much, but it's probably as nice a haircut as I've seen you have.
Well, I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, it
that makes me feel good.
It looks really good.
I am one of those guys where I don't want to have hassle with the hair. And so I don't like to be cheap when it comes to haircuts because I don't want my hair all jacked up. I don't have a lot of good things left at age 48, right? I still have my hair, so I figure I might as well take care of it while I got it. So I appreciate you saying that. But it was one of those moments where I'm like, deep breath. Kind of like that tie story you told me, where you're like, yeah, I like that tie. I'll take that. And then you get up there and they ring it up at the register. You're like, holy shnikes, it's how much?
You got to ask the cost before you do it. That's my lesson there.
Wait a second. My hair was how much? It was eye-popping. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
So anyways, my day started out. I'm a big believer that you got to have good customer service or you're behind the eight ball in today's world because prices are going up. Competition is fierce, and if you suck at customer service, then people are going to go elsewhere. So I go in to get my car serviced, and it went smooth. Everything was just fine. And so they always give you a coupon where you can swing into the car wash at the dealership.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go because I have this, I think it might be bird dookie or I don't know what it is, but I got something on my driver's side window that's been there and it's been caked on for a while. So I'm like, I've got time. I'll swoop in, get the car wash and get that dookie off of there. So I pull in and there's one car in front of me. Keep in mind, this is not like a big time car wash. It's just the dealership car wash where if you get your car service, you can swing through. One car in front of me and I pull up and there's no one behind me. So we're talking about two cars. And the lady that was in front of me, she pulled into the car wash. And then this dude rolls up on my window. He's like, hi, sir. And he goes, after this car goes through, we're going to have to close down the car wash for servicing. And I'm thinking to myself, right away, like I'm instantly getting bitter because I know what's going on
Mhm,
here. It's like, wait a
mhm.
second. So I'm behind her. You're going to let her go through, which I'm fine with. But then as soon as that car is done, you got to shut it down for servicing because you can't possibly let a second car go through. Is that what you're telling me? I did not say any of that to him, but that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And all I said was, so I can't go through. And he goes, well, I need you to wait about 10 minutes. I'm like, no, thanks. And I just backed up and got the heck out of Dodge. It's like, hey, dum dum, I am the only car that's behind that car.
Yeah.
There's no way that you're going to put that car through, but somehow you can't put my car through and then close it down for your all important maintenance. I just, it's like I just get to the point where little things in life frustrate me more than the bigger things. So I felt my blood pressure rise, similar to when that guy at the golf course started trying to, give Nancy and I the what for on the rules. Like
Yeah.
some people, I felt my blood pressure rise, and I'm like, no, settle down, Chad. We're not going to get into an episode 2 holes in
Yeah.
during an 18-hole tournament. So I had to just take a breath and let it go. Whatever, who cares? But it's like this guy. Hey, guy, I don't know you. You don't know me, but I frequent the dealership. You might want to just let me go through
Yeah.
and then shut it down for your maintenance. What's
Yeah,
up with that?
And the
Come
whole
on,
thing
dummies.
is crazy because if they won't let any cars through, it's like, okay, we got a problem in there. I
Yeah.
get it. But when you let one car through,
Yeah.
and there's only one other car in line, I mean, I would understand if there's 12 cars there, you got to cut it off somewhere.
Yeah.
There's one other car.
Exactly. I relate it to the days when I was at the grocery store before they put in the self-check. I never go through the line with the checker now. Self-check is where it's at because I don't need people commenting on what I'm buying or what I'm doing. I don't need the conversation. Just let me get in and get out. So, when you're standing in line at the grocery store, if they're going to close down their aisle, if you're standing in line, they're not going to come up and be like, I'm sorry, I'm shutting down now.
Yeah.
They'll let you go through, and then they'll put the little string up to make sure no one else comes in.
Yeah.
But this guy didn't do that. He's like, no, this is the final car. It's maintenance time. Like it's almost like it's scheduled. It's like, we got to do maintenance.
Oh, God.
There's nothing we can do about this. So we got that done. And then I got to tell you what, I experienced something today I've never experienced before. So I go down to work out with my workout partner, Luke, and I remembered everything except for my pre-workout supplement. And I always take the same thing. It's called Max Workout or whatever it's called, but it's like supercharged energy for your workout, right?
Yeah.
And so when you take it, you have to work out or you're going to go crazy. Anyways, I get there and I'm like, crap, I forgot my pre-workout. So I go to Luke. I'm like, hey, do you have any Max Workout? And he's like, no. Like, what do you mean you don't have any? And I didn't want to open up a new bottle. So I'm
Yeah.
like, crap, don't worry about it. I have my coffee, so I'll be fine. He goes, no, try this. And he gave me this supplement. He goes, here, 2 scoops. He goes, put about 8 to 10 ounces of water in it, shake it up, and then drink it down. And so I did that. And I got dressed for my workout, and we're sitting there having a little conversation before we're getting ready to train. And all of a sudden, I'm like, why is my skin? I felt my skin crawling, like I was itchy and tingly. I've never felt anything like it.
Yeah.
And Luke knew what was going on. And finally, I looked at him. I go, dude, I feel weird all over, and which is probably the norm for me because I'm crazy. But
And Luke, by the way, enjoys the idea that you might be a little tortured by it.
100%.
Yeah.
And so he goes, yeah, that's the beta alanine. I'm like, the beta what? I'm not a smart guy, right? I'm
Yeah.
simpleton. So I'm like, beta what? So anyways, it's got beta alanine. And I guess, and I read the back of the container, and it says, basically tells you that you're probably going to feel some tingling sensation. And all I know is that it kept getting stronger. And from head to toe, I felt this tingling sensation all over my body, almost to the point where it was kind of itchy and I wanted to rub my head and stuff. But it was one of those things where it's like, it was so good. And I felt this overwhelming sense of energy where it's like, I had to work out or I had to do something to get that out of my body because it was amazing. So after I was done with the workout, I went back to the storage room and I grabbed myself a tub of the new stuff. And I'm like, I got to get me some of that. So
gee.
I discovered this and I'm like, Luke, thank you. He's been holding out on me and I didn't know about it, but that beta alanine is amazing.
Did it make your heart race? Did you feel your heart pounding at all?
No, it was
'Cause
not.
something like that sounds dangerous. to
No,
me,
it did not make me feel edgy. Like my heart was racing, but I felt amazing. It felt really good. Like I said, did you slip me a Mickey? I was like, I thought he either drugged me or something. He was going to kill me, but no, he was just laughing. He's like, no, that's the beta alanine. But had a great workout, and I feel amazing now. But it was just weird. All of a sudden, it hit me all at once. I'm like, what's going on with me? Like, you ever had that moment where you're like, what's wrong with me right now?
Yeah.
We're itchy all over and stuff. It was crazy. So there you go. That's my day in a nutshell. But here, I'm here in the studio with you
Yeah.
now. I feel good, and I'm looking forward to some good, honest sports conversation,
Me
Godfather.
too. But I gotta inject one thing. You were talking about the grocery store and
Yeah.
doing the self check. I get it. I do that a lot too. Uh, don't you hate it though when you're going through a line, or even somebody serving you at a restaurant? What do you plan to do this weekend?
Oh my
How's your
gosh.
weekend going? All that stuff. I don't want to share it with you. You're not my friend. You're not. I don't know you. What do you want to know? What I'm doing this weekend?
Yeah.
It's no business of yours.
No, it's like going into the bank when you make a larger withdrawal, and the teller's like, "Oh, what are you going to do with the money?" It's like, well, first of all, what do you care? All right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I'm going to go buy a hooker right now.
Yeah.
Do you want to join me?
Yeah. I'm hiring a hitman to come into this bank and take care of you.
Yeah, I've got a big pile of blow waiting for me in the parking lot. It's like, what do you care? I don't know you.
It's
Don't ask
not
me about
your
my money.
business.
It is my money. I'm not here to
Yeah.
have small talk about what I plan to do with this cash,
Yeah.
ma'am. Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy.
And of
yes.
course, there's always the knob at the checker at the grocery store when you put up some type of product that you don't want them to discuss with you,
Yeah.
and yet they have to ask a question about it. Like
Yeah.
if I drop Preparation H on the conveyor belt, I don't want you to ask me questions about it. You know what it's for, and I know what it's for, but it's not for discussion.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, it's on sale 2 for 1. Aisle 4, bring more Preparation H up to register number 5.
Yeah.
And the whole grocery store is looking at
Oh,
you.
I hate that so much. And I've heard about guys too when they go to the store for their wife, and the checker
Oh,
has to.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that time of month. It's like, hey, idiot, I don't need your side commentary. All right, I really don't.
Yeah.
First off, I don't know you. All right, just
Yeah.
like I don't know the teller that wants to know what I'm gonna do with my cash.
Yeah.
It's stuff's just it's irritating. And not only that, but what if they ask you like, hey, how you doing today? What if I'm doing bad and I
Yeah.
just decide to unload on
Yeah.
them?
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you asked because frankly, it's been an awful day.
Yeah.
I just got dumped by my woman. My workout partner just gave me some supplement that made me feel itchy all over.
Yeah, my doctor said I have 30 days to live.
Yes, and I've got
How's your day, pal?
yeah, and I've got a giant hemorrhoid that I can't wait to get home with this Preparation H. Other than that, I'm good, man. What's up?
Yeah.
What's up, dog? All right, Rip City Drive is off and running. Michael Shacker is here. You can reach out and jump on board 503-248-0620. We got some news on the NBA. It might get harder to watch games.
Rip City Drive, brought to you by Lazy Boy. What's your strategy for comfort? Here on 620 Rip City Radio, an iHeart radio station, the exclusive audio home of NBC's coverage of the 2024 Paris Olympics.
All right, Rip City Drive. Michael Shacker, please check your phone, my friend. All right, check this out, Godfather. Little research for you. Beta-alanine, an amino acid found in many pre-workout supplements, can cause a tingling sensation on the skin called paresthesia. This happens when beta-alanine activates sensory neurons and G-protein-coupled receptors, which send signals to the central nervous system. The tingling usually starts in the neck, I can confirm, then the shoulders and arms about 15 minutes after taking beta-alanine, and can last for a few minutes to an hour. It's most commonly felt in the hands, arms, legs, and feet, and is usually painless and harmless. So there you go.
Painless and harmless.
Yeah, I felt it from head to toe, everywhere.
Wow.
It was amazing. So anyways, there you go. I found a new workout supplement that I find to be quite handy.
I had never heard of beta-alanine.
Well,
You had neither, right?
No, I think I had heard Luke mention it before, but a lot of things, again, because I'm simple-minded, when people start talking above my pay grade, I'm like, yeah, that sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And then my brain checks out and starts focusing on, well, that YouTube video last night was pretty good. I watched the fourth quarter of Game 6 of the Night 2 finals.
Yeah. Who in the heck played bass for the Eagles back in...
My mind is really in the same wheelhouse at all times.
Yeah.
And I know you feel the same way. That's why when I get around really smart people, like your wife and others, I'm like, man,
no, I just go to the corner and listen. That's all I do. The less you say, the smarter you look. And the more you say, the dumber you look.
I love my dad, but there's got to be times where he looks at me and thinks,
yeah.
Wow.
Where did this kid come from, right?
I mean, think about my life. It really is pathetic. I started watching nothing but sports at about age 10, 11, or 12.
Yeah, me too.
And that's all I've been doing for the last, 40 years of my life.
Yeah.
Watching sports and picking up useless information. Well, it's not totally useless. It helps me in moments like this, but that's really what my life is about. So when I hear people that can do this or do that or perform surgery or build this or build that, I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah, I mean, I can't do anything except talk about sports. That's pretty much what I've done my whole life. Write about it or talk about it. And really, the writing part is just me talking and then using the typewriter to translate. So it's really no different.
Oh, my
Same
goodness.
thing.
All right, I want to read this to you real quick because Shacker just pointed it out to us, but the NFL is going to court, Godfather, and this report is coming from Pro Football Talk, and they say that it's not of the secret nor rigged or kangaroo court variety. Jury selection begins today in Los Angeles in the massive antitrust lawsuit regarding the NFL's Sunday ticket package. The entire ticket package from its inception in 1994. Little side note, when I first discovered Sunday Ticket in 1994, my mind was blown. I'm like, wait, what? You can have access to every NFL game? I can watch every Bronco game living in the Northwest? Are you kidding me? Pro Football Talk continues. They have presented plenty of obvious potential antitrust issues. The current case claims via Reuters.com that the NFL used agreements with broadcast partners to keep a stranglehold over distribution, allowing DirecTV to charge artificially higher prices as the sole Sunday ticket distributor for out-of-market games. Now, wait a second. You're trying to tell me that the NFL would do something underhanded to obtain more money?
Oh, no.
That would never happen.
Engage in some sort of skullduggery? Heck no.
That would never happen.
No.
The plaintiffs in the nationwide class action are millions of home viewers and commercial subscribers like bars and restaurants. At issue is as much as $7 billion in damages.
Ooh. We should have gotten in on that.
This is no surprise. The NFL denies wrongdoing. It characterizes the potential damages as, quote, speculative. Sure they do. Here's what is not speculative. A jury will be picked. The trial will start. High-profile figures like Commissioner Roger Goodell and/or Cowboys owner Jared Jones could end up on the witness stand, being forced to submit to an authority other than their own.
Good.
The thought of Jera on the witness stand is awesome.
Yeah.
I can't think of one potential witness that I want on the stand more than that guy. Can you imagine how good that would be?
That would be very
When he
entertaining.
starts trying to return this to that or whatever. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Beyond the verdict, if any, against the league, the testimony and other evidence could expose much more about the way the NFL does business than the NFL would want. Of course, the NFL wants nothing to be exposed about the way it does business, which is why it steers as many legal claims as it can to its in-house justice system, where plaintiffs are systematically denied justice and transparency is non-existent. In the Sunday ticket litigation, the plaintiffs will get a real shot at justice, and the rest of us might end up getting a look behind the shield. Wow. That is amazing. I have been a longtime purchaser of Sunday Ticket, and I have been paying artificially high prices. There's no question about it. But I've been willing to do it because I'll do anything to get the games.
Yeah.
This is why people are steering towards illegal streams, Godfather, because they're tired of paying the high costs. Right?
Yeah. But now the streaming's getting to be high cost also.
Yes, extremely high cost. So what I'm wondering is if the NFL gets hammered in this court case, could that possibly set up a system where we can access the games for a cheaper cost?
Well, you would hope.
Right? I mean, that's pretty much what they're setting up. So I'm pretty excited about this. We'll see how it shakes out. But, of course, the NFL would do anything underhanded to do whatever they can to get their hands on more money. Why do you think they've hidden and went through great lengths for decades to hide the real information and the data that was coming out about head injuries and football and the connection?
Yeah.
They didn't want anyone to know because they knew it could really cost them big time in two ways. One, they would have to pay a lot more money to former players who are retired in medical costs to take care of them. And then also the damage that would be done by the real decision makers in the homes, the moms, when it comes to what sports their kids participate in.
Yes. Uh-huh.
That's what big corporations do, right?
Yes.
They're going to protect their interests. Same thing with these drug companies that do these tests on drugs, knowing that it's going to cause damage to real people, but they do the cost-benefit analysis. It's like, well, we're probably going to have this many people get hurt or killed, and the litigation costs and the payoffs will be this much, but the profits will exceed that, so we're going to go with it anyways.
So we'll go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, we're still going to make a profit. Who cares? And that's insanity.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's where we're at, Godfather. So, how do you access the NFL games? Do you go Red Zone, or have you been purchasing the NFL ticket? Like, what's your normal?
I've been off and on with the Sunday ticket. When it went to last year, when it went to YouTube, is that where it was? Yeah, I bought it last year just to kind of see that. Plus, we talk about it more on this show than I would normally. So, yeah, I got it last year. Probably plan to get it again this year because I have to keep up with my new favorite team, the Broncos. So
yeah, Bo Nix, baby.
Yeah. So anyway, it's been off and on though since they came out. I think during the time I've had DirecTV, which goes way back almost to its inception.
Yeah.
I've had all the sports packages at one time. The first year I got them all. And I finally realized that's a little too spendy, and I didn't watch enough of it to make sense. The last few years, I haven't gotten the NBA package because there's so many games on for free anyway that's enough games. I watch all the Blazer games, and then I see enough other games. That's good. I'm good with that.
You know, I learned something about former players from Low Neal that I thought was the coolest little side benefit. Like if I played in the NFL, I'd utilize it all the time. As a former player, you can submit to the NFL Films Vault, and they will send you copies of whatever games you want.
Wow.
And so I was like, dude, that's amazing. So I made him a long list of John Elway games that I would like to have that I don't have already, and I'm still waiting for him to send them to me.
Yeah.
It was probably an unreasonable ask on my part.
It probably was.
All right, today is a big-time anniversary day. Let's take a listen to this, Godfather.
5 seconds to go. Portland leading 109 to 107. Free will inbound. Here we go. The inbound of McGinnis. Drive, stop, pump, shoot, short, no good. And the game is over. Look at that madhouse out there. Lucas and Walden trying to fight through the traffic and go into the locker room. The Portland Trailblazers, at about 2 minutes and 18 seconds past the hour of 2 o'clock, have won the World Championship. They are number one. 109 to 107 is the final score, and it's all over. The Blazers win it. They did not do it the easy way today, but they prevailed. The game went down to where it was still in doubt, with 5 seconds remaining to be played, but the Blazers win it. After being down 2 games to none, they come back to win 4 straight and win the ball game by a score of 109 to 107, and they are number one. We'll be back in just 1 minute.
All right, Godfather, take me back to that moment. Where were you, and what was it like?
I was in the arena, and it was total chaos. It really was. I mean, I don't think anybody knew what to expect. I mean, we had nothing to go on. This has never happened before, you know.
Uncharted waters.
Yeah, and there's virtually, in those days, virtually no security around the court. So as soon as it ended, I mean, you talk about storming the court. It's never been done to the extent it was there. I mean, they pulled one basket down.
I saw
You
that.
know, it came down.
I wish I could have been riding that thing like a bull when it came down. That's
Yeah.
badass.
And one guy climbed up on the rim and was waving his hands
Amazing.
around, and it was just nuts. Walton took his jersey off and threw it into the
He
stands.
was shirtless.
Yeah, and these players fighting their way into the locker room. It was crazy. But the saddest thing was the network leaving the game almost. I mean, Brent Musburger signed off almost immediately after the game ended because they just had to get to the Kemper Open.
Unbelievable.
It wasn't like they were getting to the Masters or the U.S. Open. They're getting to the Kemper Open, which I don't think even exists anymore. But that was their – so we got no post-game interviews, no locker room, no trophy presentation, none of that. And believe me, the people in Portland felt just a little bit small-town ignored on a situation like that.
Well, I think it's important when June 5th rolls around to make sure that we celebrate this because
Yeah.
I'm resigned to the fact that we'll never see another one of those moments in Portland ever again, unfortunately.
You're not old enough, or I mean, you're too young.
I have to live vicariously through you and everybody else.
Yeah, it's
Well,
shame.
it had to have been, and you and I have talked about this. Championships are wonderful for an entire community
Oh,
in a city.
gosh.
There's nothing like it. I can't imagine what it was like for the next week after that championship. People must have been on cloud 9 for days.
they're hugging strangers, kissing strangers, running around like idiots. You know, just running around aimlessly.
What did you do for the parade?
Stayed home and watched it on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, because partly was we're all pretty tired from going through, and I wasn't the beat person at all.
No,
I mean,
you were brought in as reinforcements with Kerry.
our whole staff was doing sidebars to that game, and because we had a whole special section just about that game, and so it was something to go through. It was like a miracle. I remember coming home and not knowing to laugh or cry. I mean, it was like, what did I just see? You know, it was a beautiful day in Portland, which is rare also. It might have been the last beautiful day in Portland.
Yeah, it
but-
could have been like yesterday where the clouds and
Yeah.
everything were in
Yeah,
and
beautiful
threat of
day.
rain.
People are running through the streets. I guess in neighborhoods all over town, people are running out and honking their car horns, using air horns, just running into the streets. It was craziness. It was like everybody in town was so aware that it united an entire city. And that's what championships do.
It was Brent Musburger and Rick Barry on the call,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
That's amazing. Almost like the Heidi game in football. They cut away to the Kemper Open.
Before the game ended, they cut away.
Yeah.
So you didn't see the big finish.
That's
But,
crazy. At least they got the finish. At least they got to see the finish and then right to the Kemper
Right.
Open.
And people, it's funny how
Because that's exactly what I want after the Blazers
Yeah.
win the championship is some golf.
yeah. Well, it's funny too. People don't remember if the Blazers really messed up a lot to make the game that close at the end, and then allowed a pretty much wide open shot to
I can't
George
believe
McGinnis.
he missed it. How do you
I
miss
can't
that?
either because he's one of the best players in basketball. and he missed the shot that would have tied the game. And seriously, they were very fortunate to win after what happened because they were in control of that game most of the game. They really were. They were very confident. They had beaten them 3 times in a row already, and they were going after the 4th. It was a great game to watch, though. The tension from a game like that when you're in that arena is so palpable, and it's just unbelievable. There'll never be anything. You could win it again. It won't be like the first time, I don't think.
It never is it?
No, I don't think so. The signs up, every building in town had a sign in the window or up on the roof or something. It was just crazy, Chad. Just nuts.
Yeah, the experience I can relate it to is being a Bronco fan. You know, before Elway won that Super Bowl against Green Bay, no one thought that they were ever going to win a championship. They were destined to be Super Bowl scrubs and losers after going 0-4. And so when they won it, it was such a surprise because they were double-digit underdogs. And I just remember celebrating with my dad and how amazing that feeling was. And they've won 2 more after that. And those were great, but not the same as the first time. There was nothing like it.
Yeah, because with any team, you can't believe they're going to do it until they do it.
Yeah.
You know, you just aren't going to buy into it at all. You're skeptical. You're a pessimist because you don't want to live with the idea of thinking they're going to do it and then being disappointed. So you don't go all in until you see it. And that's the way people are. And I think that's good. That's the smart way to approach it. But what a celebration for the city. The parade was craziness. It was just nuts. More than half of Portland was downtown. More than half.
I think Bill Schonely didn't know what to say in the moment. And it's all over.
He got a lot of criticism for saying the game is over. But that's kind of what Brent Musburger also did on TV. And it's over, he said.
Yeah.
But
and I know what he meant by that. Like, it's all over.
Yeah. Yeah, it's done.
The season, the championship, everything.
And if they hadn't won, it wouldn't have been over because they had to play again. That was a game 6.
All right, we'll keep things rolling here on the show. Mike and the mechanics is nice. Appreciate that, Michael. When we come back, we'll give you some details on the NBA TV deal and give you some reaction.
Yeah.
I'm not sure this is going to work out for fans, Godfather.
Well, does it ever? Really?
Well, it does if you're an NFL fan. It just means you got to pay artificially higher prices.
Yeah.
All right, we'll come back and discuss that. You got the Rip City Drive. Jim Wilson will join us at 5:20 to break down Oregon State and their super regional in Kentucky. 5:20 on the Rip City Drive. All right, Godfather, here's the latest on the NBA rights deal, according to the Wall Street Journal. Now, most people may be under the wrong impression. The new deal is not going to go into place until after next season. So
Right.
we will still have the NBA on TNT next year,
Yeah.
along with Inside the NBA.
Right. That's
So
a
you
big
don't have
deal.
to worry about.
We get one more year to enjoy that show.
All right, so here's the key from the Wall Street Journal in terms of what to expect, where it looks like the NBA is close to agreeing to a new deal with Disney, Amazon, and NBC. According to the Wall Street Journal, NBC is near an accord with the league to pay an average of $2.5 billion a year. Wow, that's a big number. People familiar with the deal have said it would show around 100 games per season, with about half airing exclusively on Peacock's streaming service and reflecting a major bet on the future of streaming. Games would air on NBC on Tuesdays and Sundays when there isn't a conflict with NBC's Sunday Night Football. Amazon's $1.8 billion a year package would include regular season and playoff games, the new NBA in-season tournament. Sure, they're dying to get that on their
Please.
service, and the playing games in which teams compete for the final playoff spot. It also would have a share of the conference finals, which the media partners would split in a rotation, the people familiar with the term said. Disney would retain an NBA package and would continue to air the NBA finals, with payments averaging about $2.6 billion a year. People familiar with the term say, up from $1.5 billion under the current deal. Disney would get fewer games than under its current level. ESPN's deal will allow the company to air games on its direct-to-consumer streaming service, which is set to launch in 2025. It's going to be weird to adjust to having, playoff games on a streaming service. Now, I will say this. My experience for Amazon Prime and the football has been very positive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they know how to do games.
Yeah, I didn't have any glitches. I thought the product was good,
Mm-hmm.
and they have, a couple of different viewing options in terms of how you want to view the game, as you would see on a regular TV, or with the stats or the different angles. So maybe that will give us different ways to look at the NBA games that we'll see on the stream. What's your take on this? You've been around from back in the day when few games were on TV before remote controls were around. So what's your take on all this?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think the NBA is taking a gamble streaming that many important games, because I think for a lot of people, they don't have the ability to stream games, or they consider streaming still, when they're set up with cable or a satellite dish, streaming is a little bit of a problem to reset your TV to stream. And I get a little tired of it myself, and I do it all the time. I just did it this morning for Hulu to watch that clipped series. But they're taking big checks now, and it could hurt them in the future. But
by hurting them, you mean fewer people having easy ways to access your games?
Yeah, the NBA puts so many games on, Chad. My thought is, I don't buy their package of games, their yearly package, because I get enough games anyway. I see all the home team games. I see all the Blazer games. And then I see, gosh, there's an NBA game on every night on a network I can access as part of my package, either cable or satellite. Why would I need to add even more games? Most of those games are games I don't care about. Now, you start throwing playoff games in there, I still don't know if I'm going to go ahead and stream those and pay the price for that, or just let them go. And I think there are people who say, you know what, it's still not worth paying that streaming price just to see a couple games a week or one game during a playoff series. So I think that's a bit of a gamble, but they're sure getting a lot of money. They've tripled their rights fees, and it's just unbelievable in an era of stagnant or even declining ratings, as Andrew Brandt, the noted sports media consultant, will tell you. They've become a have-to for networks. They just feel they have to have major sports on, and they're willing to pay for it. And because so many networks want them, it sets up a bidding war, which drives the prices up into that area where you're hitting the red area on the meter. You know, you're getting close to where, are you going to make money off this or not? And it's really close. So it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out. I don't know, Chad. I think they are gambling. And according to Brandt, now, because of this deal the NBA made, the NFL's package looks like a bargain.
Well, in addition to what you were saying about the ratings, in the Wall Street Journal, it says the NBA is on track to increase its annual fees by more than 2.5 times under the new deal, to an average of nearly $7 billion. The NFL roughly doubled its fees under its last deal to around $10 billion a year. The NBA has much lower average ratings than the NFL, but it has more games and a young audience that is important to advertisers. It is very popular abroad, which is a big motivator for Amazon's Prime Video. And then according to Brent Magid, who is the CEO of his own media consulting firm, he says, yes, there's a risk at these fee levels given the recent ratings, but they are also looking at the downside of the games being on competing services. So they're like, well, if we don't grab them, our competitor will, and they'll take a share of our market.
Yeah.
What I don't want to see happen is how much more we're going to have to pay for Prime now because we have access to NBA games, and they're paying heavy fees to have rights to those games.
That's a great question. And I have Prime, not for the video. I have the Prime just to make sure I get free delivery on all those packages landing on my porch.
Yeah, they've got me hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
I think I've had one price increase on Prime since I purchased it. It went up like $3 or whatever.
Yeah.
It's still one of the greatest bargains in the history of life.
Mm-hmm.
Free shipping? Like, do you realize, like, when I'm looking around at, like, different products I want to buy, like, from eBay or whatever I'm looking to purchase, sometimes you got to pay, like, $10, $15 to ship it. It's like, bleep you.
Yeah.
I'll just go to Prime. I don't want to pay your shipping costs.
Yeah.
Suck it, you know?
Well, it's not as efficient as the Prime shipping usually. Prime gets it there right away. And some of these other guys, it takes you 2 weeks. They want to ship it ground, from back east somewhere, 10 days, 2 weeks.
I wonder if LeBron can inject himself into the rights deal conversation,
I'm
too.
sure. Yeah, ask him about it. You'll get the full LeBron story.
Now, we'll get to LeBron. He needs to shut up. I'm tired of hearing from LeBron right now.
Yes.
He just can't stand a world where people aren't talking about him.
I know. Think of what it's going to be like 10 years from now. Holy cow. What's he going to have to do to stay in the headlines?
He'll be trying to gravy train off his son.
Yeah.
Douche.
I suspect he'll be producing motion pictures that he can star in.
No, I'm sure those will be hits.
Yeah.
All right, we'll keep things rolling. That's Dwight. My name is Chad. We appreciate your time. Rip City Drive, 503-248-0620. Well, speaking of LeBron, when we come back, we'll dive into LeBron and J.J. Redick. We got news on a Lakers potential coaching hire from Shams, and then also some audio from Paul Pierce. Yeah, 4 o'clock chat here. What's up? Hope you're enjoying the sunshine, according to Shams. J.J. Redick will be the next head coach of the Lakers, but the deal not done yet as both sides continue to hammer out some of the details. We do have the NBA Finals finally getting underway tomorrow. Game 1 in Boston. The Mavericks and Celtics tip off at 5:30 on ABC. Boston favored by 6.5. Porzingis expected to play in Game 1. The Super Regionals in college baseball kickoff Friday. Oregon will take on Texas A&M Saturday in College Station. That first pitch at 11. Oregon State will meet Kentucky and Lexington. First pitch Saturday at 3. Jim Wilson will join the show at 5:20 to preview the Beavs Super Regionals. The Women College World Series will kick off tonight. Championship round, best 2 out of 3. The top 2 teams in the country face off, Oklahoma and Texas. The Sooners looking to become the first team to win 4 straight.
Five seconds to go. Portland leading 109 to 107. Free will inbound. Here we go. The inbound of McGinnis. Drive, stop, pump, shoot, short, no good, and the game is over!
Yeah, this would be the other song that they were playing inside of the salon today.
Man.
Donald Fagen,
Phew, man.
of course, the front man for Steely Dan, is a pimp.
What a song.
I'm reading the critical reception on this album from him, Nightfly. And it says here, the Nightfly was met with a near universal acclaim. Billboard labeled it their top album pick in the first month of its release, calling it a stunning debut and praising its typically blue chip crew of crack players and crisp digital production.
Yeah.
David Fricke wrote in Rolling Stone that Donald Fagen conjures up a world where all things are possible, even to a kid locked in his bedroom. The Village Voice gave the album an A and commented, "These songs are among Fagen's finest. His acutely shaded lyrics put the jazziest music he's ever committed to vinyl into a context that, like everything here, is loving but very clear-eyed." Robert Palmer of the New York Times called it a vivid and frequently ingenious look back at a world that is gone forever. It sounds glossy and contemporary, but references to both the spirit and the music of the years when Mr. Fagen was growing up can be found in almost everything. Good job. Nice work. Nightfly. The first time I heard this song, I don't remember when, but I was like, what is this? I was like, I know that voice. And then I went to the record store and found it.
It just cheers you up. To me, when I hear this song, it makes me smile.
If beta alanine was a song, it would be this right here.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. Makes you tingle, right?
Yes. All right. I'll tell you one thing that doesn't make me tingle. That would be LeBron James.
Yes.
The biggest problem I have with him is that he's a fraud. I mean, the guy is just a complete fraud, and he has been his entire career. He's a great basketball player, don't get me wrong, and I respect his longevity, no matter how he's doing, to be able to play basketball at a high level after 20 years in the league, whatever. I mean, he's in incredible condition. But he's a fraud. That's the biggest problem with this guy, and he's always trying his hardest to remind you how great he is, to convince you that somehow he's the greatest player of all time, and yet we all know he's not. It's like, dude, just settle down, relax, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, your place in history is just fine. You don't need to go out. Anytime someone has to go out of their way to tell you they're the greatest of all time, then I know instantly you're not.
Yeah.
If you tell me you're the greatest of all time, you're not. Tom Brady has never told me he's the greatest of all time. He doesn't have to. His record speaks for itself. But LeBron, unfortunately, is the picture child for the me generation. Look at me. Look at me. Look at what I've done. It's all about me.
Pound your chest. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. It makes me sick to my stomach. Well, anyways, according to Shams, he's saying that the deal for J.J. Redick, it's basically a done deal. He's going to be the next head coach of the Lakers. Never mind the fact he's never coached and has no experience whatsoever, but he's done a podcast with LeBron. And also keep in mind that LeBron has nothing to do with the coaching hire at all.
Nothing at all.
Like nothing.
Probably has nothing to do with them possibly drafting Bronny.
All right, here's the question I have for you. Because here's a more pressing issue for the Lakers. You've got LeBron, who's going to be done in a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got Anthony Davis, who's going to be around longer. And probably a guy you might want to hold on to. I guess his choice is James Borrega.
Yeah, they were close when AD played in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Borrego was an assistant coach there. Very well liked by players, incidentally. Smart guy. And that's AD's choice. But, sorry, AD. There's somebody else on your team whose choice is probably going to be ranked ahead of yours.
All right, so how do the Lakers handle this with AD to make sure that he's cool moving forward with J.J. Redick? Because I'm sure in the back of their mind, they're like, we got to make sure that he's good so that we have a chance to keep him in the post-LeBron world because we need star power, and he's still a darn good basketball player.
Yeah. I don't know, honestly, how you do that other than maybe when you hire J.J. Redick, maybe the morning you're going to announce it, he has to make a call to AD and say, hey, look, they're going to announce me later today. I want you to know that I'm here for you, and we're going to set up to play the game around you. You're going to be the hub of whatever we do. He's going to have to figure out a way. He's a smart guy, by the way. J.J. Redick's a very smart guy. He'll probably be able to, at least for the time being, mollify AD and get him to go along with this.
All right. This is where I come out on this. I've said it before, but I want to get your take on it. If you're going to have LeBron James on your roster, if you're going to get into bed with LeBron and make him the focal point of your franchise, and I'm not saying it's a bad idea, you probably should because he's going to bring attention and people into the stands. You're in L.A.,
Yeah.
There are too many options for entertainment there. If your team has no star power and you suck balls, people are going to go to the beach or they're going to go see a movie or a different show or whatever. They ain't got time for your nonsense. So go to a Dodger game. The Lakers need star power. So my belief is LeBron is your guy for the next couple of years. If he wants J.J. Redick as coach or if he wants James Borrega as coach, if he wants this guy or that guy, then do whatever's going to make him happy. It's like you got to play the game because you're agreeing to terms with LeBron.
Well, it's been that way for years, right?
Yeah. So that's just the way it has to be played. If you're going to work with LeBron, that's fine. That's the way it has to be. Now, if you don't want to deal with that, then you got to get rid of LeBron.
Right.
But they don't want to do that. So I don't have a problem with LeBron handpicking who he wants to be as head coach. If I had the power to handpick my boss or the guy I've been working with all the time, I would do it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got the power to do that. What I don't like is don't tell me you're not involved in the coaching search or that you didn't tell the Lakers you want J.J. Redick when I believe, just like most people, that you absolutely did. That's the part I don't like.
Yeah.
You do a podcast with a guy who has no coaching experience, but the Lakers just happen to be interested in him as coach, but you have no influence on that whatsoever. I'm sorry, I don't buy that. That's just nonsense. It's fraudulent to suggest that you're not involved. So I don't care. Like, if you're going to work with LeBron, you got to do it his way. Like, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's always been that way, and it's still that way. And it comes down to whether or not, and Miami faced this decision at one time, do you want him on your team or not? And Pat Riley decided, no, we'll let him go somewhere else.
Yeah, well, he wanted LeBron, but he wasn't going to do it by his terms.
Right.
Yeah.
So pretty much if you don't do it by his
you're
terms.
going to lose him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and LeBron would leave if they weren't going to do it by his terms.
I would say this, Chad. It's worth discussing. It's worth discussing keeping AD on your team, building around him, and seeing what you could get for LeBron James at this point of his career. Now, he'll opt out and be a free agent. You won't have that choice, so you let him go, I guess. But I think it's worth mentioning because we've seen the best of him. And yeah, he'll roll numbers up and all that. Not the same player defensively. As he sticks around, the performance will grow worse and worse. And if you let him go, you don't have to take Bronny in the draft. And you can start rebuilding your future. And maybe one superstar for a year or two is enough in LA, but you then have cap room to chase somebody else. And I think a lot of free agents moving forward would like to play with AD.
Well,
It's worth discussing. I'm not saying you should do it. I would at least test the waters on something like that.
well, let's check in with Paul Pierce to get his take on the situation.
All right, good idea.
Now, I'm not a fan of Paul Pierce. I think he's a douche.
Yeah.
But if he's going to take shots at LeBron, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
So let's take a listen to this.
Man, to be honest with you, I really don't even think this is really about a championship no more. This is about putting on a good show. Because if we talking about, this sound like a script to me. This really sound like a script to me. If we talking about, think about this. They hired J.J. Redick, draft Bronny, or sign. I mean, does this sound like something that's like we're trying to move in a direction to win a championship, or does it sound like we're trying to put on a show?
Someone's going to be calling him to let him know that LeBron's feelings are hurt at his comment.
Yeah. You're now on the outs with LeBron. Live with that. He doesn't like you anymore.
I'm now a Paul Pierce fan. Never was. In one moment, 26 seconds worth of audio, I'm a fan. Because he's basically saying, what is this nonsense?
Yeah.
We're going to draft Bronny?
Yeah. That's going to make you better, isn't it? Now, it's possible Bronny could turn into a player, but not during the time that LeBron's there, I would guess. It's going to take him a couple of years.
I got to give these NBA players credit because most of them who are in the game today, they wash his balls and they won't say anything bad about him, even though they probably all believe it. They're all fake too. You know, they won't say what they truly think because he's not a guy you want to get on the wrong side of.
Yeah.
That's all. But I love Paul Pierce. What are we talking about here? So wait a second, you're going to hire J.J. Redick and then draft Bronny?
Yeah, and
But your goal is to win a championship?
yeah, I know. Really? Is that what we're talking about here? I mean, Laker fans, just dig in because you're not going anywhere.
You know what, Paul
Not
Pierce?
with that team.
PP deserves another play. That's good. This is solid. This is an above room temperature take by Paul Pierce.
Man, to be honest with you, I really don't even think this is really about a championship no more. This is about putting on a good show. Because if we talking about, this sound like a script to me. This really sound like a script to me. If we talking about, think about this. They hired J.J. Redick, draft Bronny, or sign. I mean, does this sound like something that's like we're trying to move in a direction to win a championship, or does it sound like we're trying to put on a show?
He basically called LeBron a fraud. That's really what he was getting at there. What are we doing here? You trying to win a championship or just put on a show?
And he's a former player. It's easier for him to say it. I just wonder how many current players feel the same way. I think people are laughing about the whole thing.
Well, I still love Jeannie Buss, so that's really all that matters. I love Jeannie.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just saying, if the comedian were to run into a tree tomorrow and die, I would swoop in and be there for her.
Yeah, the comedian.
Yeah, I could do that.
Her current husband, right? Didn't she marry him?
Yeah, whatever. I don't care about that. Good for Jay. Good for JJ. Not JJ Redick, but Jay Moore.
Yeah.
Can you at least tell me that Dr. Buss wouldn't stand for this nonsense, Godfather?
No, I wouldn't tell you that. I think he'd fall for it too. Yeah. He always had stars in his eyes.
He did give Magic a $25 million, 25-year contract, which was groundbreaking for the day.
For the day.
And then he went on Sports Talk with Steve Jones to talk about it with Blazer fans who were calling into the show. That's still an all-timer right there.
Yeah.
Hey, Jerry, this is Bob out in Hillsboro. I'm just wondering, how are you going to pay for that? Well, you see here, we got this real estate. And
what an era that was, that the owner of a team could go on a sports talk show and take calls. Huh? Is that amazing?
that is amazing.
I don't think Jody will be doing that anytime soon, but the offer is there, Jody, anytime.
I still want to see Jerry Jones on the witness stand of this NFL trial with the Sunday ticket.
Yeah.
If he says glory hole, I'll do anything you want. If he says glory hole on the witness stand, that would be awesome.
No, they'll coach him out of that. I don't think he'll.
Wait a second. You trying to tell me that you can coach Jarrah out of saying whatever Jarrah wants to say? Get out of here.
I think he's been told about that one though.
I don't think.
That's
No
not
way.
a good one.
No way. Jerry. No one tells Jarrah what to say. Jarrah does what Jarrah does. Whatever he wants to do. You know that. Just like you're the Godfather, and the Godfather does what the Godfather wants to do. That's Jerry.
No, I don't know.
In a Southern sort of way. All right, we'll keep things rolling here on the show. LeBron is still a fraud. That's basically, and Jeannie Buss is awesome. So if you want
that's the world.
Cliff Notes on that segment, Jeannie Buss is awesome. LeBron is a fraud.
That's Chad Deering's take on the world right there. It's all you need to know.
All right, when we come back, we'll a couple of things. One, we'll dive into the finals matchup, and also we'll talk about the nut job known as the A's owner.
Yeah,
is he nutty?
He's a beauty. That guy's a real beauty.
We might be able to get some games in Portland at this rate.
Yeah. Well, Hillsboro. Yeah.
And Jeannie, you can come on the show anytime you want. But I tell you what, you and I we're actually a lot alike in quite a few ways. We don't like to be cold. I hate being cold.
No. And we're also alike in whenever we leave town on vacation, the weather's gorgeous here.
Dude, I'm so mad. Like
Thanks
this
for
morning,
leaving, by the way. It's going to be great this weekend.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, you can thank me later. Because this morning, there's no way I could have played golf, but all I could think about was like, dude, I bet you the course is it's immaculate right now.
Yeah.
Warm temperatures, your body warms up quick, the compression on the ball because of the temperature in the air. Whatever. It is what it is. It's,
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Let's go out to the phones. Today is the anniversary of June 5th, the day the Trailblazers won the championship back in '77. Let's go out to Beaverton. Ralph in Beaverton. Ralph, appreciate the call. You're up on the Rip City Drive. What's on your mind?
Hey, guys. Dwight, when you were talking about signs all over town, during the finals in '77 for that, it reminded me growing up, those Beat LA signs in all the windows during the Western Conference Finals in 2000. And I think the Oregonian printed those, and you could tear them up or cut them out and put them on your window. People put them in their car windows. You guys probably remember. But I was thinking, does stuff like that happen anymore? Is that going on in Dallas this week? If Portland's back in the finals, or in the Western Conference Championships, when they were playing a couple years ago, that didn't happen. So is that kind of an old school thing? Is it all social media now? Because I would love it. I don't know who gets the Oregonian in print form, but I would love it if there were signs all over town. That's the spirit that you're talking about.
Yeah, I would say this, Ralph. I think the newspaper is not as much of a factor nowadays. And I would also say they're not as excited in Dallas right now as we would be in Portland. They got the Cowboys, they got the Rangers, they got other things, But in a one-sport town like we have, nothing gets people as juiced up as the Blazers when they're on a roll.
I've never seen anything like it. There's nothing like it.
Yeah, and it doesn't happen in towns with multiple franchises.
Yeah, those 90s, the early 90s with the Blazers being so awesome, those were good times.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of fun. People were jacked up all around town. I used to miss that, man, where the newspaper was like a treasure trove, man, where they would have little pullouts, little sections, special sections, or whatever. I miss those days.
Yeah, and the signs he was talking about, I think those actually were cardboard, and they were inserted into the paper.
They were inserts.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's amazing.
Uh-huh.
Hey, Dad, we got to get a paper. I need the insert.
Yeah.
What do you need that for? Well, it's Beat LA. Come on now.
It was a great idea, too, because people were buying the papers, extra ones, just for the signs, but papers in at that time were so cheap, it was no big deal anymore. What, 50 cents? Come on. Of course, I'll buy 4 or 5.
I remember back in the day, the Oregonian was 25 cents or 35 cents, and then the USA Today was a steep 50.
Yeah. Yeah. That's back when USA Today was really something.
Yeah.
All the box scores, all the highlights, everything from every sport was in there.
Before the internet, the USA Today was my go-to for NFL information for the Broncos. Yeah. I needed the info, and they had the perfect columns, the write-ups on the games, the matchups. The most important, though, the injury reports to know if your guys, who was going to be available, who wasn't. I loved all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Spent a lot of coins on newspapers over the years. All right, let's go back out to the phones. Sean and Sandy. Sean, I look forward to having dinner with you at Podna's next week, my friend.
That'd be totally awesome. I am too, brother. But, I hear you always getting on LBJ, and I know a lot of people
Bates
do.
Johnson?
They don't like
Lyndon B. Johnson? You talking about Lyndon B. Johnson or LeBron?
We're talking about the king, LBJ, the basketball king.
Oh.
Yeah, he's not a king, but go ahead.
What's going on here is, he's writing the script, you guys. And, he's in production. And, if this all goes down the ways he's writing it and he wins a championship with his son.
It's not happening.
He will go down as the best of all time. And you guys won't like it.
Well, he's not going to win any championship.
Not winning a championship with his son.
Well,
not on that team.
And if he wins another championship, that doesn't mean he's better than Michael Jordan. Let me ask you a question, Sean. Who do you think is the best player of all time in the NBA?
Well, Kareem's my favorite. I'm going to put Kareem right there.
I didn't ask who your favorite was. I said, who do you think is the greatest of all time?
I'm going to still put Kareem there. And then LBJ right now. And if LBJ wins another championship, it's LBJ.
Okay, where do you put Michael on your list?
Michael's right there. He's probably number 3.
Probably.
Great. Well, at least now I know we have some crazy stuff to talk about at Podnas. I'll try to straighten you out over dinner. I don't have a problem. You want to put Kareem number one, whatever. No one puts Kareem at number one, but he did have the most dominant shot of all time. I basically hate GOAT talk.
I do too.
It drives me
Because
crazy.
it always comes down to ring culture too, and it's like, come on.
But I told you, what did I tell you before we went to Sean? I said he's a contrarian, and so of course, when I stick it to him, I'm like, all right, who's the greatest of all time? Yeah, I'd probably go Kareem. And then LBJ, if he gets another championship, he's going to be the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Why? MJ's got 6. He'd have 3.5 because you only get a half for the bubble championship. Oh, whatever. It's all annoying. He's writing his own script. Boy, that would make me sick to my stomach. I got to be honest with you. LeBron winning a championship with his son would be too much. I would retire and go into a different line of work.
Yeah. Explain to me, too, the people who say that. So what kind of role would you expect Bronny to have in that championship? You think he's going to be a rotation guy?
No, he would be a towel waver and supporter from the bench.
Yeah, so I don't know how big a deal it would be to win with him waving towels on the side. He might as well be the ball boy if he's waving towels on the sidelines. I mean, really.
I just don't like LeBron. What can I say? I'm not down. Great basketball player, but I just can't stand him. I can't take it. He is. I loathe LeBron. He makes me sick to my stomach because he's a fraud. That's all.
He's a phony. Yep.
And as you've always pointed out, just whatever you are, be that, but don't be a phony
You
because
can
no
be
one likes
anything you want to be, but you can't be a phony.
100%. Because people can sniff that out. It's like when he comes out and says, "Oh, I'm not involved in the coaching hire." Really? So wait a second. You're LeBron James. You control and handle every aspect of what's said about you in your entire career, but you're not involved in the coaching search. And it just happens to wind up to be the guy you're doing the podcast with who has no coaching experience.
Yeah. And you're not involved in the draft at all either. It's just the team that wants to get Bronny, not you.
I mean, that kind of stuff just drives me bonkers, Godfather. Bonkers. All right, here is an angle on the finals from Basketball Breakdown. Luka Doncic, Godfather, is shooting 65.2% from 17 feet out to the three-point line. For context, Chris Middleton led the NBA in the regular season from this range at 58%. And also, Luka ranks second in the postseason in this category behind Kyrie Irving, who's at 66.7%. So how do you explain such terrific mid-range play from the two guys, Kyrie and Luka? And that's really coming in a day and age in the NBA where mid-range game is not considered the acceptable form of offense.
Yeah, and there's reasons for what's going on, and mostly that a lot of teams encourage mid-range shooting. They'll guard you at the 3 line, they'll seal off the middle, but they'll give you the mid-range. And that's really what you're supposed to do in today's world because threes and dunks are the most things that everybody wants. That's what you want to get. So the mid-range would be the thing that's open, and these guys have had incredible luck at making and getting those mid-range shots. Now, I would also suggest that they've had a lot of open ones because it's what teams give up. But I would also suggest that even wide open mid-range shots, to expect them to continue to make them at that rate, they might, but it would be a real upset if they could. That's tempting fate.
Where do you come out on the mid-range game? I know because you're a guy who is a little bit older, been around the league a long time, but you don't ignore analytics. You embrace them. But and where do you come out on the mid-range game?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. If you can make 60% of them, you better be shooting them because there's a lot of guys not making 60% on layups. Former Portland center.
Yeah, Yusuf.
Yeah, but I think it's okay because they're going to be open shots, and good NBA players make open shots. So if you get enough open shots and make them, you're fine. You're fine. And then you'll also get people to guard you there, which might open up the lane or the three-point line.
Let's go out to Albany. I'm down with Albany.
Albany.
If you're going to call from Albany, we'll put you right up on the show. Let's go out and talk to Ron. See what Ron has to say. Ron, welcome to the show.
Hey.
Appreciate the phone call. What's on your mind?
Thanks. Oh, hey, a little golf and music and the Blazers. So are you left-handed, Chad?
Not when
For
I play
golf?
golf. No, I'm a righty.
Oh, okay. I know you have that. Picture of you are supposed to have had that picture of you throwing a softball left-handed or something.
Well,
so that's why I was
that's
wondering
what
if you
that
could
was.
say
Is
golf.
what they did is they took my dome and they put it on
Yeah.
and they put it on the body of the Oklahoma softball pitcher who throws left-handed. That's why I look like a
Right.
lefty. Yep.
Okay. All right. Hey, I sent you on Facebook a message about Michael McDonald. I don't know if you got it or not. It was about a interview with Rick Bento. It was on YouTube.
No, Rick Beato. Yeah, I watched the interview. Yes,
Oh,
thank you for the
you
link.
seen it?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing. It was like over an hour. It was phenomenal.
Really good, wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's
Hey,
amazing.
the other thing I had was the Blazers. I think they should get some bigs when they draft. We need bigs. I don't know. I hate to see them get some more guards in there. Don't need any. I think they keep Simons. If I remember rightly, the Detroit Pistons had 3 pretty good guards in their old days. Thomas and the Microwave, and who was the other one?
Dumars.
Dumars, yes.
Yeah.
You can go good with. They don't have to play all the time, but you need them there on the bench and to come in and stuff. So that's my opinion anyway. But I hope we can draft some bigs.
Well, you got
They're
to.
available, aren't they?
I wish the Blazers could draft Michael McDonald.
There you go.
Yeah.
He could help us.
No, he could. He could sing the national anthem before every game. I'd be totally down with that. Yeah. Well, speaking of bigs, what do you think of that dude from UConn, Klingon? Kind of an antiquated dude, I guess.
Yeah, but he's got some range on his shot, which gives him a little more opportunity to be a relevant NBA player, I think. They say he can make corner threes. If he can just do that, he increases his value.
All right. I want to read this to you. This
Okay.
comes from Damon Amendolara from X. It says, the A's want to play up to 8 home games per year away from Vegas before a shovel is even in the ground.
Yeah.
There is no bottom to this John Fisher-led carnival of absurdity. Vegas, you don't want this man as your owner. And then here it is, the official request. This is from the Nevada Independent. A's move to play more games outside of Vegas could undercut stadium finances by millions. A request to play 8 home games this season away from Vegas could negatively affect the team's financial projections and bonding capacity for public financing. Well, no doubt.
Yeah.
Why would he even want to suggest something like this?
Well, because he's a total nut job, and he has no idea what he's doing as the owner of a team. And he doesn't seem to have people around him as a filter, somebody to tell him not a good idea. Or even if you want to do this, hold off until we get the financing and we get the shovels in the ground where they can't change their mind. Then maybe you can go ahead and try something like this, because I'm sure he's figuring out that if he plays games in England or Mexico or Japan, he'll get big money for taking the games over there, and it would be more money than he makes off home games. The problem is it cuts into the financing base for that stadium. And, of course, typically he's begging for the locals to pay for his stadium.
Of course, this guy is the ultimate, like Scrooge, where
Yeah.
he takes the revenue sharing from the other clubs and he pockets it for his own
Yeah. Puts it in his pocket.
personal gain, doesn't reinvest back into the team. He sets a budget that's nearly impossible to work with to put a quality team together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they do. They're using the baseball club as basically like a shell corporation to do all their other dealings,
Yeah.
to pad their own pockets. And look, he's looking out for himself. Fine, whatever. But if you're going to own a team, I mean, I almost feel like if you own a team, isn't there a certain level of responsibility you owe to your fan base?
Of course. But he, he's already ruined his fan base in Oakland,
Yeah.
and so obviously fans don't mean anything to him. And that team used to be well supported. I would say this.
With a great, rich history of terrific players.
Oh, yeah. Unbelievable. But Las Vegas needs to figure this whole thing out. This is not a guy you want to own your baseball franchise. There's just no way. Make him either sell the team or they're not going to finance his stadium. And it's a real bad deal because he's just running rampant. Now that he's escaped Oakland, he's running wild. And you just can't allow this to happen. Baseball can't be that stupid. The people in Vegas can't be that stupid because really, my opinion now, just my opinion, that market in Vegas is going to be overrun with pro sports real soon. They've got their football team. They have a hockey team that's extremely well supported, very well supported. You can't get a ticket to those games. Now, they're going to get NBA basketball as soon as the NBA decides to expand. They're going to Vegas. There's no question about it. So now you put a baseball team in the heat of summer down there. Yeah, it'll be a climate-controlled ballpark, but still, when people are sweating all the way to the ballpark, very often they don't want to go to the game anyway because they got to walk a mile to get to your ballpark because parking is so bad in Vegas. So I'm not sure baseball's going to be a grand slam attendance-wise in Las Vegas. And the TV market down there is very screwed up. I don't know that's going to work. And I think it has a chance of not working when you have a Scrooge like that owning the team, because I don't think he'll change his budget, Chad. He's still going to try and go on the cheap with his ball players.
Of course. My biggest problem with the A's going to Vegas is they're going to build on the Tropicana site, which is going to take away my boy Steve and I's free parking when we have to head down for an event. That's really annoying.
Yeah, and parking after that is going to be a serious problem for you.
Severe. Free parking and local knowledge is critical.
I've been to that stadium, and that's a tough park right there. You almost have to take an Uber, and that's not easy either.
I'm not joking. When I go down, Steve and I we were talking about this the other day. So I'm going down in July. I was going down for the Tyson fight, but they decided to postpone that. So I guess I'm just going down to hang with him. We're actually going to go out on the prowl looking for an alternate free parking site now that the A's are going to screw that up for us. Every time there's something sweet in your life that no one knows about, there's always someone that comes along and screws it up for you. I hate that.
And by the way, is there a worse traffic city in the country right now than Las Vegas?
It's about as bad as it gets.
Oh,
they got construction up everywhere.
Yeah.
And then they're constantly in setup and breakdown of their racetrack. Yeah.
Yeah. It's brutal.
To the point where the traffic was so bad this year that the casinos were offering bonuses, massive bonuses to their employees to show up to work the week of the race, the F1 race, because getting to work was such a pain in the backside.
Wow. Yes, those casinos don't like parking.
Hey, we'll give you an extra $2,000 if you show up this week.
Yeah.
No, I'm good. I'm going to stay home and avoid the traffic. I'm sick. All right, we'll keep things rolling here on the show. I like this song. Whitney. Old, like early Whitney. Very nice.
She could sing.
Which national anthem do you think was better? Marvin Gaye at the NBA All-Star game that was at the Forum, I believe, or Whitney Houston in the Super Bowl 20?
Well, I'm kind of tired of it being sung traditionally, so I'm a Marvin Gaye guy. That song, the way he sang it, pretty cool.
Marvin Gaye's awesome.
Did you ever hear the Jose Feliciano version too?
I did, yeah.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, that was
good. A lot of people didn't like that.
All right, we'll keep things rolling here. We'll come back and give you some disturbing news on the Jonte Porter.
We're full of disturbing news today.
This is pretty disturbing. Jim Wilson's going to talk about the Oregon State Super Regional coming up at 5:20. You got the Rip City Drive. Well, I tell you what, Godfather, some of the details coming out in this Jonte Porter betting scandal is pretty amazing.
Whew, man.
So I'm looking at the official complaint here. A criminal complaint was filed today in federal court in Brooklyn charging Long Fee Pham, also known as Bruce,
Really, that?
with conspiring
Oh, God.
with others to defraud a sports betting company
Long feet
known as Betting Company
Bruce.
One by placing, quote, an underprop bets on a National Basketball Association NBA player known as Player One in NBA games on January 26, 2024, and on March 20th, 2024. Pham was arrested on Monday and made his initial appearance this afternoon before the United States Magistrate Judge Cheryl Pollack. Pham was ordered detained pending trial. 3 co-conspirators charged in the scheme remain at large. Now, here's a good breakdown on how things went down. First off, on the betting scheme, as alleged in the complaint, Pham and his co-conspirators placed under prop bets on Player One, who was Jonte Porter. His performance in 2 NBA games, knowing in advance that Player One planned to withdraw from those games for purported health reasons. A prop or proposition bet is a wager placed on a player's performance rather than the outcome of the game. For example, a betting platform could offer users a wager that a player would score more, referred to as betting the over, or fewer, betting the under points than a certain number of points designated by the betting platform for a given game. It says here, in early 2024, Player One, Jonte Porter, had amassed a large gambling debt to certain of the co-conspirators. Player One was encouraged to clear those debts by withdrawing from certain games prematurely to ensure that under prop bets on Player One's performance were successful. On January 22nd, 2024, Player One sustained a purported eye injury during a game. He was evaluated and diagnosed with a corneal abrasion, but was not placed on the NBA injury list. Shortly before the game on January 26, 2024, the January 26 game, Player One told the defendant that he would be removing himself from the game early, claiming that he was injured. Player One entered the game on January 26 midway through the first quarter after playing just 4 minutes and recording 0 points, 3 rebounds, and 1 assist. Player One removed himself from the game after he complained to team officials they had re-aggravated the eye injury. And that's basically how it goes down. Jonte Porter was in debt.
Yeah.
And, hey, no problem. We can take care of that. Here's how we're going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to pull yourself out of these games early. We'll cash in on the under, and then you don't have to worry about those debts anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is what would concern me about other athletes in professional sports, especially for some of the lower level guys that may have some money issues. They're going to be susceptible to this type of activity.
Yeah, you give them leverage. When you get behind and you owe them money, they've got leverage over you, and they own you. And to a degree, that's what happened to this guy. Nobody goes into this thing saying, yeah, what I want to do is fix games. No, they go in I want to make a few bets and win some money. But then you get behind, and you don't have a lot of choices if you can't pay your debts. They got you.
It says here, the charge in the complaint is based on allegations, and the defendant is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty. If convicted of wire fraud, the defendant faces up to 20 years in prison.
Oh, by the way, when you text somebody, don't think that person is the only one who can read your text. This whole thing, man, they have this whole thing covered.
It says here on April 4th, 2024, in a group chat between Player One and the conspirators, Player One wrote to the group that they might just get hit with a RICO, referring to a racketeering charge, and asked if the group chat participants had deleted all the stuff from their personal cell phones.
Yeah.
Yeah, because deleting gets rid of it.
Yeah, right, exactly. People think that, but of course it's not true.
That's just wild to me. Prior to the game on March 20th, 2024, Pham, Bruce and his co-conspirators discussed in a Telegram group chat that Player One would be removing himself early from the game, claiming that he felt ill. They agreed to share the profits for money won on successful under bets placed on Player One, and that Pham would receive approximately 24% of the profits. On March 20th, 2024, Pham and the co-conspirators met at a casino in Atlantic City, New Jersey, and placed several bets on player one after playing just 3 minutes and recording 0 points, 3 rebounds, and zero assists. Player one removed himself from the game on March 20th, complaining he felt ill. Several bettors, including the co-conspirators who wagered the under prop bets related to player one's performance, won those bets. In total, the defendant and his co-conspirators netted over $1 million in profits.
Whoa. Somebody was betting a lot of money on that.
That's big money. And that's how the casino would have known right away, wait a second.
Yeah, who's doing that? I mean, that's ridiculous.
On Jonte Porter, all of a sudden, Jonte Porter, there's enough interest where someone's going to drop $1 million.
Yeah, just coincidentally, he dropped out of the game a few minutes in.
This ain't the Super Bowl, fellas.
Crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
You talk about a red light, a red flag, whatever you want to call it. They totally exposed themselves.
I think that's the same thing that happened with that Arizona State basketball player, Hideki Smith.
Headache. Yeah.
Headache.
Yeah.
Where he was getting shoe boxes full of money for point shaving.
Yeah.
But because he played for Arizona State, not a big-time college basketball school, it was getting unusual amounts of activity on their games.
Yeah.
And then, of course, because Vegas knows everything, they're like, red flag it. Something's going on here, and they start to investigate.
And once they start to investigate, they got you. I mean, they get anywhere with their investigations.
What do you think about Steve Perry's vocals? You like that?
Yeah, obviously.
It's not bad.
Nice voice.
Good work, Shacker. All right, Jim Wilson's going to come up at 5:20. I'd like to talk to Bruce. Hey, Shacker, can you get Bruce on the show? I'd like to ask him about this whole betting scandal.
We're not talking about my brother either.
Oh, I've got a story about the God brother.
You do?
Yeah. He sent me a text. I'll share that with you next. It's pretty awesome.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, it's good.
All right.
Apparently, he's got a system I had no idea about.
Well, of course he's got a system. He lives by systems.
All right, you got the Rip City Drive. What's going on, my friends? We're about 5 minutes away from the start of the championship series in the Women's College World Series. Oklahoma and Texas. It's the best 2 out of 3. Oklahoma looking to become the first team to win 4 consecutive championships. According to Shams, J.J. Redick is going to be the next head coach of the Lakers. Deal not done yet as both sides continue to hammer out some of the details. The NBA Finals are going to launch tomorrow in Boston. Celtics and Mavericks. That tip-off is at 5:30. It's on ABC. Boston a 6.5-point favorite in Game 1. Super Regionals will start Friday. Oregon's going to face Texas A&M Saturday at College Station. First pitch at 11. Oregon State's going to meet Kentucky and Lexington Saturday at 3. We'll talk with Jim Wilson coming up at 5:20. Get his take on the Super Regionals. More of the Rip City Drive with Dwight and Chad's coming at you right now. Hitching on a twilight train. I'm not going to lie, Godfather. I love Neil Diamond. I think my favorite Neil Diamond song of all time is probably Solitary Man.
Yeah.
Although I love Love on the Rocks. But one of the albums I did buy, vinyl, is I got the Jazz Singer.
Oh, really?
On
the
vinyl.
Soundtrack? Yeah.
I
Yeah, that's
love
pretty
my
good.
rosy child. My Uncle Truman turned me on to that when I was young. And I remember my dad, Truman made my dad like a mixtape of Neil Diamond. I took over ownership of that tape and still have it. Yeah.
All right, let's get to the story about my brother now. It can't keep me in suspense much longer.
I love the God Brother. That's how I know him, is the God Brother. Also, I got this message here from the 971. It says, "Hey, Chad, in my very humble opinion, Steve Perry is the greatest rock vocalist of all time. I know he's too vanilla for some, but if you watch some of their live stuff and the ease at which he hits the notes, it's incredible." That's Chris in Newburgh. I don't have any problem with that statement. I would probably go Steve Perry for me. Yeah, for the greatest rock vocalist of all time. I also liked him in the Greatest Night in Pop. Just listening to him sing as they're putting together the song.
Yeah.
All these great artists in one room, and then all of a sudden he steps up to the mic. You're like, okay, he and Michael Jackson sound different than everybody else.
Yeah.
That's how good they are. So I appreciate that note. Here is from Sean and Sandy. I still remember Marvin Gaye at the All-Star game when I was young. He was awesome, but I was older, and Whitney Houston was also the best, the very best. Those are the 2 best anthems I've ever heard. The Marvin Gaye one is pretty good. I was just talking with Curtis Long, the principal. I think he can't decide between the 2, but he says if he listens to Marvin Gaye's version, he's like, that's the best. But then if he goes back and listens to Whitney right after that, he goes, that's the best.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can hear that.
Let me find the God Brother. I know you really want
Thank
this.
you. Yeah.
But, crapola.
No, you didn't.
Let me tell you, shut up and listen. I got to tell you this is bad. I feel stupid, but gosh, dang it. Okay, so when I was at the car dealership this morning, I get bombarded with a lot of text messages.
I know. Yeah.
More than you could possibly imagine. And so every once in a while, I like to go through a cleansing service on my phone where I just go through and delete the majority of my text messages just to free up my phone a little bit. And I somehow neglected your brother, and I deleted him. But I'll tell you what he told me.
Okay.
Is that, I'm paraphrasing here. Dang it, I wanted to save it because I was going to forward it to you. So anyways, out of the blue, the God Brother, Bruce, hits me up last night. And he's like, my theory, I'll give you a theory. We were talking on the show yesterday about gamblers.
Mm-hmm.
And my belief is that the more that guys, and the reason why I say guys is because I've never run into a lady that's a big-time sports gambler. But the guys I know, the ones who talk about how much they win, I used to be a gambling addict. I'm convinced the more they tell me how much they win is the more they get their clock cleaned by the house.
Yeah.
My belief is that your brother was listening during that portion of the show yesterday
Yeah.
and became instantly offended because he's one of the guys that you and I both know that is not afraid to share with you when he's had a victory, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the Godbrother's a smart guy and probably does have a fairly good winning percentage. That'd be my guess because he just seems like a guy that would have some type of knowledge to be able to get over, right? Because that's what he does.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he was offended by our comments and then wanted to prove his point. So he reached out to me to let me know that he's got money on Boston. He gave me the amounts of what he's got going on in the series. And then he told me, quote, I've got a Godbrother system for how I handle these games. And my response was, I love that you have a Godbrother system. Of course you do. But he called it the Godbrother system.
And Bruce, if you're out there, give us a call. I'd be interested in hearing that from the horse's mouth. I want to hear it from you.
And he's never calling. He won't call to talk about his system.
Here you got a poor brother down on his luck, and you don't share a money-winning system with him. I want to know the secret so I can
You know what I hate about your
too.
family? Let me tell you the only thing I hate about your family. Between your wife and the Godbrother, they're always like, they'll tell me a bunch of stuff, and then they follow it up with, well, but don't talk about that on the radio. I don't like it when people say, don't talk about it on the radio.
Because, of course, you will talk about it on the radio.
The way I look at it is, here's the way I look at it. You know what I do for a living. Don't come up and strike up a conversation. I have to live my life on the show.
Yeah.
So if you give me things that I think would be interesting for topics, then I feel like I owe it to the listener to share what I have experienced over the last 24 hours.
See, you're like Peter Vesey. He used to tell people all the time, I don't do off the record.
Oh, he didn't have he only had one record.
Yeah. If you tell me something, I'm using it. That's it. So if you got something off the record, don't tell me. I don't want to hear it. Because everything you tell me, I'm going to use.
What do you think about that philosophy?
It's tough to execute that because you do want to know what's going on. Even if you don't use it, it gives you an edge to know what's going on because then you can ask all the right questions of the people and maybe get it from them. That's the thing.
I love Peter Vesey. That's my guy.
Yeah.
The Godbrother has got a system. Of course he does. You know him better than I do. He's probably got a system for everything.
Come on, Bruce. 503-248-0620. Give us a call. I know he's listening. He's always listening.
Oh, by the way, Bruce, it's 5:07 p.m.
Yeah.
On a Wednesday afternoon in Portland. Bruce I got to admit, your brother's one of the most interesting guys.
Oh, yeah.
And he's always been very gracious and kind to me. So I love him to death.
Oh, yeah.
One of the most interesting cats I've ever come across in my life.
Yeah, he is.
Like, I thought you were interesting, and then I met your brother, and I was like, whoa.
No, he's like a millionaire. He's got tons of money, works his tail off every day of the week, and just busy. And he's got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff. And, by the way, he's an amateur comedian. Does a little stand-up on the side.
When are we going to get a piece of that? I got to see this crap. Does he only do it down in Reno?
That's what he said. Only in Reno.
You and I need to take a trip to Reno to see him in action. Would he be upset if you showed up to go to a show, or would he like that?
Yeah.
He probably wouldn't like that.
He'd probably pull out of the show if I was there.
I'd record it and play it back on the show. I would want to do that.
Yeah.
I admire him for doing it because you did it once. Like, it takes big-time guts to be able to step up on stage with immediate feedback because if you bomb, you know you're bombing.
Yeah, mine was a disaster.
I assume that we bomb every day on the show, but the good thing is I can't see the listeners when I'm bombing. It's just you and I. So I don't have to worry about that, which is good. I have a phone screener in front of me, so I know when people are calling.
I'm just saying he's calling.
I know, but I'm saying that you're acting like I have it right here in front of me, and I'm glad he's calling. Let's go out there right now. The Godbrother is joining us. Bruce, thanks for calling in, buddy.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Well, first off, I did not know until the other day, but Dwight was telling me that you do stand-up comedy. Is this only down in Reno?
Pretty much only down in Reno. Pretty much.
Would you be offended
California.
Would you be offended if Dwight and I came to one of your shows in Reno?
Probably not. No. I might make a lot of fun of you guys, but
I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I'm used to that.
Okay.
How long you been doing that, Bruce?
Probably since about 1973.
Did you know that?
No, he's been going down there since 73. You haven't been doing
Well,
comedy long.
In fact, our father was the only one that really knew. He knew I was doing it when I go down there. I go down.
It's amazing.
I would do the Italian festival. A lot of work for comedians during that time period in the fall, and some other clubs. Some of my good friends worked at some of the places, and so I always had a gig to go to.
Oh, by the way, thanks for the recommend on Veggie Grill there. They got some good grub there.
Okay, good.
Very
Good.
nice. All right. What we really want to know about is what is the God Brothers system when it comes to sports wagering?
Well, I think the main thing I always tell people, don't gamble a lot. Don't try to hit a home run. Probably the only home run that I really tried to hit was I bet on the Huskies over the Ducks in the Pac-12, and I won a ton of money on that. But other than that, just go slow. And on the Oregon lottery, I'll give people a little hint. Go on the money line. Pick the good teams like the Yankees and the teams that win all the time. You're not going to win a lot of money, but go slow and just accumulate. That's what I always tell people. You know, a lot of people they want to, go 500 on a game or something like that. Maybe bet a lot of games, but that's one way. There's a lot of other ways you can do it too. I do some research, like on the NBA. I bet 2 future bets, one on the Lakers, one on the Mavericks, and I read some articles about how the team really wanted to win it this year. Now, that was clear back in October. And I put $10 on them, $10 on the Lakers, and I stand to win $360 if Dallas wins.
Very nice.
So did you hedge that bet by taking the Celtics in the finals too?
Yeah, I just went over to Chad's neighborhood and put some money on Boston because like I emailed Chad, I said, just because I have so much money on the one side, I'm going to go over and put some money on Boston.
Yeah, hedge it.
Yeah, that's not a bad play. That's very prudent, very smart.
Yeah.
Well, what is
right.
what is the most embittering loss you've taken on a wager? Do you remember?
I can't remember any.
I probably never had any.
Is that no embittering losses, Godfather?
No, you just flush
Hey,
the losses.
Chad, I have about 15 people that call me up all the time and ask me about games. I was teaching school and I had a vice principal. I was teaching class. He called me out of class. He says, "Come on down to my office." And he had some NFL games. He goes, "Hey, I need your help on this stuff."
Oh,
and
God.
that was probably 15, 20 years ago.
That's our
So,
tax money at work
I
in
think
the public schools.
Right. Kids wondered where I went. I said, I just went to the restroom. Don't worry about it. But I put a lot of time in on it. I don't spend a lot of money though. I really don't.
All right. How many?
Go small.
How many vending machines do you have in operation right now? What's the total number?
I'd have to talk to my accountant on that. I don't know.
I knew that.
He's a fascinating man, Godfather.
Yes, he is.
So what else is going on?
Yeah.
You got any trips planned? You going to Disney anytime soon? What's up? What do you got going on?
Don't have too much going on. I want to get together with the Godfather and his son to go on a road trip, but we haven't gotten that together yet.
Come on,
Probably
Godfather.
probably not this summer. We just couldn't put anything together in the schedule that we liked.
Well, I'll just have to take Dave, and we'll have to go someplace then.
All right.
Well,
So
Maybe
you can
add
do that.
Chad.
yeah, I'm in. I'd like to hang out with you guys, and I love talking with David. He's super
Okay.
cool. I'm going to New York
Yeah.
for a few days. You got any recommendations on
that.
where I need to go?
I used to like Mama Leone's. That's pretty good for Italian food.
Mama
Is that
Leone's.
in Little Italy?
Yes. Actually, there's 3 of them now, I think.
Hmm.
But there is one in Little Italy, yes. If you
Okay.
like good Italian food.
Well, no, I like bad Italian
And then
food.
I tell you the other one right across from Madison Square Garden is the Stage Door Deli.
I know where that's
Have you
at.
been there?
Yeah, I have not.
Oh, there's
I've walked
like
right by it.
5 of them. Oh, get a sandwich here, roast beef sandwich or some kind of whatever kind of sandwich you like, man. They're phenomenal.
Well, before you go,
Phenomenal.
you got any fast food updates? Like where you been lately for a good burger or whatever? Are you excited about the In-N-Out that's going to open up in Ridgefield?
Yeah, I think so. I that's good. More of the merrier on those. I just wish they put a Habit in. It's a fast food chain they have some in Seattle and they have some in Northern California. They're really good.
Habit?
You know, they have sirloin. Yeah, Habit it's called. It's they have sirloin steak sandwiches. Those are phenomenal. Not
Oh.
much fat. Very, very good. Very
I've never
good.
heard of that.
So, yeah, it's a good one.
Well, God, brother, we appreciate you calling in. Always good to hear your voice. And let's plan a road trip, man. We got to hang out.
Okay, sounds good, Chad.
There
I'll
you go.
be there.
That's my man
Hey,
right
Bruce.
there. The one and only Bruce Janes.
There you have it. Portland's most interesting man.
You knew when you gave the shout out he would be calling.
Oh, yeah. He listens. I give him credit. Anybody can listen to us every day. I
He
appreciate
does
that.
religiously.
Yeah.
All right, when we come back, the great Jim Wilson. You were telling me today he was a great athlete. Basically, everything he did, he was great at.
Yeah. Yeah. Great football player.
He'll break down the Super Regional coming up next. And by the way, Oklahoma on fire in the first inning of the Women's College World Series. All right, the Oregon State Beavers will kick off their Super Regional against Kentucky down in Lexington Saturday. First pitch is at 3, pregame at 2:30 on your home of the Beavs, 1190 KX. And joining us right now is former Beaver great Jim Wilson, who's back on the show. Jim, thanks for your time.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, guys.
Well, we'll start with this. How important is home field advantage in the Super Regionals based on your experience?
Well, the Beavers have never made a World Series without it. So, I mean, and they're 28-2 at home. And so, it's really big. And it also signifies that you're playing a team that was actually had a better season than you and might be a favored team anyway on a neutral site, because you're talking about Kentucky at number 2 in the country, or the number 2 seed in this tournament.
And Jim, what do you know about Kentucky at this point?
Oh, they play at Kentucky Proud Park. It's brand new. It is artificial surface. That's why I looked it up to see if it was gonna, because with the Beavers' defense, it's better if they play on artificial surface.
Yeah.
But they're interesting that they're not dominant in any one statistic other than perhaps stolen bases. They've got just a ton of them, 113 stolen bases. To the Beavers, maybe like 60 some. They hit some home runs. They've got 2 guys, a guy with 20 and a guy with 14. But the one guy, he's 359, 14 home runs and 23 stolen bases. So I think the biggest statistic that catches my eye about Kentucky is the stolen bases. Everything else just looks and their record, their overall record is solid.
We're talking with Jim Wilson here on the Rib City Drive. Oregon State getting ready for their Super Regional against Kentucky. What are some of the key things you think the Beavs need to do to get the win in advance?
Gosh, just play like they did at home this last weekend. They played pretty good baseball. They did, other than some corner infield miscues. They really, I thought, played good baseball. They pitched well, and they swung the bats well. And if they can just keep it going, especially, not especially, but both. If they can keep pitching it and keep hitting it like they have, in this era, it's just a ton of offense. The numbers are up across the board, just huge across the board. But the Beavers are suited for that. They have guys up and down the lineup that can hit home runs, and so they're kind of built for the era. And they're I think. When Kentucky found out Oregon State was on the other side, they're probably not jumping up and down.
Curious what you think, Jim. Obviously, the bullpen and the starting pitching both look good over the weekend in the regional. And do you feel like they've shored that up enough? I mean, I saw it as kind of their Achilles heel all season, but their starters pitched well. They're number 1 and 2 especially. And the bullpen blew some saves late in the season. But they look pretty solid in the regional. How do you feel about their pitching going into the Super?
Well, they're coming off pretty strong performance in the Pac-12 tournament, where they didn't lose because of their pitching. They just didn't score enough runs in that. The Arizona series, I thought they were pretty solid, and then this last regional, they were very good. And I think the formula with Aiden May on the first night and Jacob Kamatz to win, you're looking at Joey Mutt and Bridger Holmes. I mean, that's the formula. If you can get your starter through 7, get Mutt and then Holmes. If there's any trouble anywhere along the way, Nelson Keljo was the wild card. He is actually pitching right now as well as anybody on that staff, and he's always had just power potential. That he's got this power stuff, but it just hasn't come around for him. But in the last 3 weeks, it's just like the lights gone on, and he's the X factor. I mean, if they don't have to use him in a game 1 or a game 2, he would start. I mean, he is so good right now.
Yeah, you look great. I want to ask you this too. Tough question: is Travis Bazzana the best Oregon State baseball player ever?
If you had asked me before the season, I would have obviously said no. Adley Rutschman was a 1-1, a premium position, a switch hitter, a great teammate, a great player. And I would have said it's Adley Rushman. That's going to be very, 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 very hard to change my mind about that. But the answer to your question is yes. He is the best college baseball player that Oregon State's ever had. And it's not even close, to be honest with you, because of he plays a premium position, not quite like Adley, but he's a middle infielder, and he's all defensive, first team, 2 years in the Pac-12, and he's broken literally every record that is out there, whether it's fielding percent or whether it's slugging percentage, on base percentage, home runs in a season, home runs in a career, stolen bases in a season, stolen bases in a career, walks, runs, hits. It's unbelievable. He's a great player that had a great year. I mean, there's great players, but he is a great player that had a great year.
We're talking with Jim Wilson here on the Rip City Drive, getting ready for the Oregon State Super Regional. How good is Gavin Turley?
You know, he's streaky, but he's less streaky this year. And, you know, last year he was literally, he had 14 home runs. And he literally was out for a month because he's a little streaky, got a lot of strikeouts. But the ups and downs, I mean, just when you think he's not scoring well, he gets a grand slam home run. And he has 5 grand slams in one season, 19 home runs on the year. He is a guy that's just got toolbox. Because he can run, he can throw, and in the outfield, and then he's got tremendous power. His bat speed kind of it screams when you see it. It's like, whoa, he's got bat speed. And the more he plays, he's just going to get better and better.
Yeah, I see him building up to a really big season next year. If he can straighten out, get a little more consistency at the plate, maybe. I think he's going to be an All-American next year. That's just my opinion. I think he's a great prospect, too. You agree?
Yeah. Yeah, well, he's got 19 home runs and 73 RBIs, so he's had a pretty darn good year this year.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think he's in the 280 range. He'd like to cut down on the strikeouts. And it's an interesting thing. He's the best fielding DH you'll ever find. He is a plus outfielder. But because they have Dallas Macias, who's just special in the outfield, and Brady Casper as well, and then Gavin Center. So, I mean, I can't remember a team where the DH was as good of a defensive player as Gavin Turley.
Hey, Jim, what are your thoughts on Oregon State going independent in baseball next year? How do you think that's going to play out?
I think it's great. I mean, you got to execute it right. You got to be the luxury or the reason people go to a West Coast conference is just to make scheduling. It just takes care of the schedule for you. And Oregon State is going to stay independent to play a higher level, and the execution is going to be interesting because you got to get teams to come to Corvallis, and it's not who wants to come to Corvallis for a non-conference game? I mean, people will, but you know, you might lose the series, and then why would you do that? And you know, you look at you look at Kentucky, they play Murray State and this and that. Those teams, they don't go in non-conference. They don't go anywhere. They just stay at home and play teams. And so it's going to be the execution of getting the teams to come is going to be the trick, but I think they're going to pull it off. And if and when they do it, I think it's just a tremendous, tremendous move.
Jim, I got to ask you one more question. Beavers know that you were an outstanding football player at Oregon State, too, and you do those games as well as the baseball games. What about the football team next year? What do you see?
Well, first I'm going to correct you. I was not an outstanding football player. I did start.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
No, listen. I think there's a whole lot of question marks on that team. With Trent Bray, I love the hire. I love they stayed with an internal guy, a guy that wants to be there, and then a guy who turned around and hired a bunch of other guys that were Oregon State Beavers. I love what they've done with the staff, but there's obviously big questions at quarterback. I think on the defensive side of the ball, they will be good. There's a lot of new bodies, a lot of new faces, but I like the guy that's going to run them with Keith Johnson, but also with Trent on that side of the ball. The offensive line, to me, there's one big X factor, and it's the tackle from Colorado. If he's not, I mean, everybody says he's in, but we haven't seen him yet. And if he's in, then he makes a huge difference, because I think they're a tackle short with him than the Colorado center, and then Gray coming back. And I think they have a chance to be pretty darn good up front. And if they are, that, you know how that goes. If you're able to run the ball, then that takes the pressure off the quarterback, and so on and so on. But it's going to be interesting. I'm very interested in the schedule and how that plays out. The Mountain West Conference, I know it's not the SEC or the Big Ten, and they'll beat you. You know, if you go to Boise and go to the Air Force, San Diego State, those are some good programs, and so it's not going to be a cakewalk. It's going to be a very, very interesting season.
All right, we want to ask you a question. Dwight and I are two of the biggest fans of Mike Parker on the planet, and you work with him and have knowledge of Mike Parker more than just about anyone. I want to play this clip for you and get your reaction to this latest effort from Mike during the course of a baseball game.
'20 and 21 in the two games at Stanford in the playoffs in '82. Trosky takes high and in. Oh, my goodness! No! No! That's terrible! That is terrible! That is terrible! I'm telling you that he took the pitch high and inside for ball 3, and it was called strike 3 on Jabin Trosky. And you heard me, and I apologize, but not too much.
That's so good. I mean, Jim, he's an absolute beauty, but I'm curious, like, when he's in Mike Parker mode and you're sitting there next to him, like, what is that like? It's got to be amazing.
Well, generally, when I'm doing the game with him and he has one of those passionate moments, I'm usually in the charge of talking and sort of acting as if we're still seated together and doing my job. And so, obviously, this was during the Pac-12 tournament. The Trosky pitch was up and in. It was a ball. It was a terrible call. But I wasn't. I was sitting home in my house, actually watching the TV, and it was you know, that's the beauty of Mike. He's passionate, and you know, he's not going to sugarcoat it.
No, it's beautiful. Well, Jim, Dwight, you got something else?
Yeah, just wanted to, are you getting to go to Lexington, Jim?
No. You know, my real job does not allow me to get away quite like that. If the Beavers are in Omaha, I may try to work that out with my schedule. But the last time they were there, I was able to make it.
Yeah,
and that was a story that ended well.
Well, if they make it, we want you there because you and Mike together are fabulous.
Well, I appreciate that.
Well, Jim, we appreciate it, buddy. Enjoy the games, and we'll catch up in the future. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks, guys.
There you go. I think he was being a little bit modest there with his football playing. Jim Wilson was a great athlete.
He really was. Yeah, and we didn't even mention. Yeah, Travis broke the one-season home run record held by Jim Wilson.
Yeah, and I love that too. Where he's like, "Well, I started. I don't know if I was a great football player, but yeah." So basically, you're in the 1% of the population that can start and play Division I football. That's nice.
Yeah, he was outstanding. He's a very reliable player.
You were surprised that he said Bazan is the best player in
I was.
history.
I thought he would say Adley Rutschman. That's
So
what
did
I would say that too. Being a 1-1 in the draft, and then how well he's doing in the big leagues, kind of, it justifies his college career and shows that it was for real. But Bazan, I expect to get to the big leagues very quickly.
Right now, Oklahoma on top of Texas 2-1, top of the second Women's College World Series. And how many of these baseball games will you try and watch over the next few days? You'll watch all the Oregon State games, but you'll probably check out Oregon. What else?
Yeah, I try to. Yeah, because they're playing at different times. So depending on what real life is like and what I have to do over the weekend, I'm going to try very hard to see all the games.
I love that. What real life is like. Because we live in a fantasy world most of the time.
We sure do. And I'm telling you, My wife is an absolute saint to put up with all the sports I watch on TV. She really is. And I'm lucky. She calls herself a sporto. She is a sporto. She's interested. She watches a lot of games with me.
Did she watch any of the clipped series with you that you started last night?
No, I had to watch that this morning because I forgot last night. I just totally forgot about watching it. So
Too much going on. Too many
there it
options.
is. Yeah. And that's the last thing I would think of as a scripted series on a streaming service. But I finally remembered it this morning, and I thought, Shacker's probably watched it, so I better watch. Turns out he didn't watch it. So he's got some homework to do.
He forgot too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, finally, the NBA Finals will kick off tomorrow. Who do you like in this series?
I like Boston, Chad.
Who do you
I
think
do.
is going to be MVP?
Probably Tatum. If they win, probably Tatum. But I think both those wings are going to have real big series. That's what I expect.
I like Boston as well. I'm not going to be rooting for Boston, but I think they're going to win the series just because I can't get past the fact that they have Drew Holiday, amazing defender, Derek White, who is an incredible on-ball defender, and then they got the two wings who are prototypes for what you need on the defensive end to deal with Luka.
Yeah, one of those guys is going to get that task, and maybe both of them throughout because you need size.
Yeah. And I would say, I was listening to Channing Frye today. He was on Fox Sports Radio, but he was talking about Kyrie, and he was talking about his skill level. He said, when I would practice, he goes, I would practice specific moves that might come up in a game. And then if those situations came up, I would think, okay, I'm going to go with this move that I worked on. But he said when he played with Kyrie in Cleveland, that Kyrie was so skilled that he didn't have moves that he thought, I'll go to this move or that move. He would just react naturally to what the defense was doing.
Yeah.
And they would just make it up on the fly because he had the skill level to be able to do that based on what the defense was showing him. And I thought that was a pretty good compliment because I'm like, that's next level stuff right there.
Yeah, well-rounded game. Yeah. It usually, like Channing said, you work on something and not only, I mean, you go into the game that day or that night or the next day looking for an opportunity to use that move.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you do. You seek that out.
Yeah. Kyrie doesn't work on moves. He just uses his natural ability to react to what the defense is doing.
Ad lib.
That's amazing. All right, we'll keep things rolling. High fives coming up next on the Rip City Drive. Wilson was good. He's awesome. All right, Godfather, we'll start with you. You got any high fives you want to hand out?
Well, Chad, I probably do. Yes, I think I do.
The God Brother?
Yeah, he deserves a high five.
All
Out
right.
there tooling around in his van and hears his name called and calls in. That's a high five.
Nice work. Nice work, Bruce James. Shacker, you got anything? Anything you want to hand out? Caught him off guard.
Yeah.
He hates it when I do that.
He's in the other room.
No worries about
playing
that.
with a dog.
All right. I'm going to give mine out to beta alanine. Had no idea what it was until today, but thank you, Luke. I appreciate the tinglies that you gave me before the workout, my friend.
I'm sure Beta Alanine really appreciates getting that high five.
Yes. And we should probably thank Gretchen, too, for putting up with us.
Yeah. Yeah. Before we go, though, Chad, I got to tell you, good luck on the trip.
Oh, thank you.
Got to take notes, pictures, whatever, because when you get back, we're all going to want to hear everything about it.
I'll tell you the whole deal. So I do know that tomorrow or tonight, so we leave, going to leave tonight from the airport, and it's going to be a red eye.
Yeah, you can't sleep on red eyes, right?
I can't sleep in airports. I can't sleep on airplanes. Like, it just doesn't work for me. But what I always do is I called the hotel, got the early check-in, so I'll be able to get to early check-in, get a nap, short nap. And then the reason why I'm taking the red eye is because I don't like to eat up time that I can be on site for where I'm vacationing from. So this will give me time to get a nap and still have a full day on Thursday. And I told you I got the Gallagher reservation. And then what I've got is a bunch of listeners have recommended different spots to go check out and eat. So I'm going to hit some other spots while I'm there. First game's on Friday. They're all night games, local time, New York time, in the 7 o'clock range. Sunday's game is Sunday Night Baseball. Saturday's game will be on Fox. So 2 nationally televised games. Makes sense with the Dodgers and Yankees. And then the good thing is about the later start times is that I have all day to, to bump around and do different things around town. The cool thing about the hotel in Hell's Kitchen is that it's right there in the heart of everything. So I like to walk and check things out and not have to deal with rental cars and stuff. So a trip like this is nice because I can walk around and check everything out. And then when I go to the game, I can just, hop the subway and go from there. And Travis Demers is a great, valuable resource because, he grew up in New York. So he's given me some details on how to do this and how to do that. Just, because I want to be able to, I like to be mobile,
Yeah, and you can't rent a car in New York. It's futile. You can't even park one.
The traffic's terrible.
Yeah.
So that should be fun. And then the weather looks like it's going to be pretty good. So a couple of weeks, a week ago, it looked like there might be some rain and lightning on Friday. So I was hoping for maybe a doubleheader I'd get to go to on Saturday, but that's not going to happen. But the stadium tour will be on Saturday. So I'll roll up to the game early on Saturday, and the tour is like 2 hours. You get into the ballpark before everyone else. And then and I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to take a lot of pictures on the tour and get a chance to see the stadium and, most importantly, Monument Park to go see the legend.
Sure. You got pretty good seats for these 3 games?
They're all 3 good. Yeah, I got up in the behind home plate, similar to where we sat when we went to the Tampa Bay Yankees game at Yankee Stadium.
Nice.
So I got a recommendation from a listener on a show on Broadway. So I got a lot of options. I am going to go back to the 9/11 Museum because I want to go back. You and I went.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to go through, but I think it's important. I want to go do that again. But most importantly, I'm going to seek out some of these local spots that people hit me up on to avoid the tourist traps.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying there's wrong. If you want to go to a tourist trap or whatever, that's fine. I want to check out some of the local flavor.
Speaking of local flavors, the egg cream.
Yeah,
probably.
I'm going to try one just because you've been all about the egg cream. So I feel. When you have a chance to try something like that, it's probably good to.
It's just so New York. It's the only place you can even find them. New York. That's it.
But still, my favorite thing, though, is I love when you start to descend and you. I can't wait until my eyes see the city again. I love the view from the airplane when you're looking at the skyline of Manhattan.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
It is.
How can a city be never ending? But that city's never ending. I've just never seen anything like it.
Mm-hmm.
We're West Coast guy. I grew up out here. I used to think New Yorkers were all arrogant and crazy and stuff, and they might be, but but you understand why they talk up the city so much.
Yeah, it's
massive.
a great vacation spot. Really is. So much to do.
You had fun when you and Nancy were there last time too, didn't you?
Oh gosh, yes. We stayed in Brooklyn just to do something different. It was fun.
How cool is Brooklyn?
Cool. It was fun, and We really
Kelly
enjoyed
O'Coin gave you some.
Gave me a great restaurant recommendation. It was outstanding. Chicken sandwich, best one I've ever had. And we took the subway in every day. Saw a Mets game, saw a Yankees game, saw two Broadway shows. So we had a great time.
How was Citi Field for baseball? You and I went there for the concerts, but what was it like for baseball?
Really good. Probably better than Yankee Stadium. And Yankee fans would hate me for saying that, but it probably is.
Yeah, in terms of a park, it's nice. The problem is it's located in Flushing, right? I'll never forget coming out of the concert that one night, and there's like a bunch of hubcap stores, like literally on some shady road right next to the stadium. Because it's in kind of it's just in a weird spot of town. That's all.
Yeah. Right next door to the U.S. Tennis Center, though, which is really cool too.
Yeah, well, that you got to go to that. I can't believe that.
Oh,
but that was well worth it. It was awesome.
Oh, it's great. Really. I want to go to another tennis major.
How great was the tennis center? Amazing.
Oh, and Arthur Ashe Stadium, maybe the best sports venue I've been to. Unbelievable. Access is great. Seats are great, no matter where you're sitting. And we 2 different events, sat different places, both great. It was really fun.
What airport did you fly into? Did you go to Newark or did you go to JFK?
This time, JFK, I believe we went into. Yeah. Usually it's LaGuardia, but I think when you're staying in Brooklyn, you go to Kennedy, I think.
Yeah. All right. Yep. So that's the deal. And but most importantly, like both teams, like the Dodgers, they until yesterday were starting to get hot again. But most importantly, like Aaron Judge and there's some big name ball players going to be tooting around the park over the weekend, which is going to be nice.
Oh, when you can see Ohtani and Judge on the same game, that's worth going to.
Yeah, because I think I might have a man crush on Aaron Judge just because I think he's cool.
Yeah.
And Freddie Freeman's like one of my all-time favorites. Like he's just a great dude, great ball player.
Yeah.
And Mookie Betts is awesome. And then of course Ohtani, I've never seen him, with my own eyes. So it'll be fun to watch him. I want to see him at the plate, and I'm sure he'll be excited to be at that stadium as a member of the Dodgers, which is cool.
Yeah.
And 2 storied franchises,
I envy you on that vacation. I'll tell you that.
That'll be a good one. All right, that's going to do it for us. Big thanks to Jim Wilson, Michael Shacker. Chris Burkhart will be in with The Godfather tomorrow for the Rip City Drive. Justin Myers will be back at 6 a.m. And enjoy the sunshine, man. The weather, the golfing weather is upon us now.
Yes. Going to be great weekend.
All right, you guys have a good night. The Godfather and Burkhart will take care of you, and I will talk to you next Wednesday. Thanks, Michael.
Oh, I had my mic on mute. I was talking when you threw to me for I was talking when you threw to me for a high five, but I had my mic mute, so I suck. All right. See you tomorrow, Dwight. Hey, you hear me now? You hear me now? You hear me now?